So adding neurodiversity hiring to your DE&I program is really what we're going to be drilling down. I've already been introduced, so I'll talk a little bit more about myself and why I do what I do. I'm going to talk about Zavikon service offerings just so you understand who we are and what we do. What is neurodiversity? We're going to go through some statistics so you understand the gravity of what the challenge that we're trying to tackle. We're going to talk about the benefits and making a difference in the community. Special grant offering that I'm going to bring to you from Zavikon that might really help some of the small businesses. I'll share some success stories if I have time, give you some fun facts about Zavikon and Q&A. So feel free, we are a small group today. So if during the presentation you do have a question, you can raise your hand or put it into the chat. I'm happy to answer. You don't have to wait to the very end. So we already went through all of this. I am the founder and CEO of Zavikon. Prior to that, I was a founding member of MindSpark, which is kind of where my journey started in the space. I became very, very passionate about it because as we were training adults on the autism spectrum who had been completely overlooked in the job market, we were training them in technology and software testing. I realized the talent was so incredible, and I just scratching my head, like, why? I don't understand why they're so overlooked in the job market. That journey was one of the most amazing career journeys of my life. And we were acquired by Audicon in 2018, and I became their CEO and I led their expansion. It was during that journey that I realized that I needed to start Zavikon. And the reason for that was Audicon is a consulting firm. And a lot of companies were coming to me saying, Rebecca, we really want to hire the talent. We want them to be part of our teams. And for me, that was music to my ears because I am all about solving the unemployment, underemployment rate for this community. It's my community. So it's very, very important to me. So that's kind of where my journey started. I'm very, very compassionate. I'm a compassionate leader. I believe in using compassion in all that we do and how we lead and how we work with others. And I am neurodivergent. So this is my community. And it's very important that I serve them well. So Zavikon, we consider ourselves the bridge to inclusion. And I have always said throughout my career that there is a job out there for everyone to apply their skills and talents in a meaningful way. I truly believe that. So we are all about matching qualified candidates with disabilities and those who are neurodivergent with employers who believe this type of hiring is the future because we know it is. And I'm going to go into the why in just a little while. But there is a reason why I say those with disabilities and those who are neurodivergent. And I like to explain why we separate it out. And it's the reason being is that many individuals who are neurodivergent do not consider themselves disabled and others do. So out of respect, we separate it out. So as a company, we serve our clients by helping them with disability and neurodiversity program design and implementation. We work with some of the largest corporates in America. We do disability and neurodiversity inclusion education, training, and career coaching. We do the recruitment and placement, which is the bread and butter of what we do. And really what we want to accomplish is getting people in career-oriented employment. We help people set up interview best practices so that they're setting people up for success. And we focus on the hiring managers so that we can educate them and prepare them for the individual that they're bringing in. We do the job accommodations assessment. We call accommodations success factors because we believe that that's what's necessary to set people up for success. We look at accessibility. We help with onboarding and retention. And we help acclimate the individual with our career coaching, which lasts 90 days after our placement. We serve all disabilities, both visible and invisible. We do all types of jobs. Most of the positions that we're working on are, desk type positions, but we work in the entertainment industry. In fact, we have We're sponsoring Autism and Entertainment Conference, the first ever, on April 5th at the Skirball Center in Los Angeles. And we're really super excited about that because we've got a lot of autistic talent that wants to be in the entertainment industry. And so we are setting up a conference just for them to be able to introduce these concepts to the major entertainment studios and gaming companies. Most of our candidates are seeking their first opportunity in our entry level because there's an unemployment, underemployment rate. They might have advanced degrees, but they've not been able to apply those skills in the workplace. And a lot of times it's not only the job description that stops them from applying for the job, because there might be things in that job description that they feel they're not qualified for. And some can be very literal. So if there's just one thing, they won't apply, but it's also the interview. 85% of the people we work with say the interview is a barrier for employment. We service all of the metropolitan cities in the US, and our candidates work on-site, hybrid, and remote. So what is neurodiversity? I love this graphic because it really does explain it well. Because neurodiversity includes all brains. Neurodivergent refers to brains that work differently than the majority of brains. And neurotypical refers to brains that work similarly than the majority of brains. So here are some of the diagnoses. 10 to 30% of adults in the US are neurodivergent. The most widely recognized neurodivergent identities include anxiety disorders, autism, ADHD, bipolar, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyslexia, dyspraxia, epilepsy and seizure disorders, OCD, otherwise known as obsessive compulsive disorder, sensory processing disorders, special learning disabilities, and Tourette. These are not all of what we would consider underneath the umbrella of neurodiversity, but these are some of the most common diagnosis that will fall under neurodiversity. So we approach our jobs from a strengths-based perspective, not from a deficit-based perspective. And we know that studies have shown that these traits that you see highlighted are common in neurodivergent people. Not all, but are very common. And one of the most important things I'll say here today is when you've met one person who is neurodivergent, you've met one person. And that's why it's really, really important to look at this from an individualized perspective and to really look at the human that's in front of you and understand how you can set them up for success. Because according to the World Economic Forum, these traits are crucial for future of work. And neurodivergent people are key employees. So some of the statistics, 15% of humanity has a disability and 96 are non-visible. So if you meet an individual who's been diagnosed with ADHD, you're not going to know that about them more than likely. According to the US Department of Labor, as of September 2023, the unemployment rate for people with disabilities is more than double that of those without. The unemployment rates are estimated at 30 to 40% for people who are neurodivergent. It's significantly higher for those who are on the autism spectrum. 3 times the unemployment rate of people with other disabilities and 8 times the rate for non-disabled people. Neurodivergent people who are employed also tend to be underemployed. And I'll describe that a little bit. Lower wages, lower titles. Maybe they have an advanced degree, but yet they're putting boxes on a shelf at a grocery store. And there's no shame in that, none at all. But if they've gone to school and they've gone through the process of getting their degrees, that they should have the opportunity to apply that in a meaningful way. So that's what I mean by underemployment. A little bit about autism, because this is an area I'm very passionate about. These statistics change frequently. When I started my journey, The statistics were like 1 in 100 something born in the US today receive an autism diagnosis. Now it's 1 in 36. And in some states, it's even lower. It's more. And people say, well, what is it? Is it environmental? What's happening? And I do believe it's just because our awareness has grown and the diagnostic criteria has improved. An estimated over 1 million who are diagnosed with autism will enter adulthood in the next decade. And there's an underemployment rate of 80%. Some say 85, some say 70, but it's still extremely high. And what we know, and this comes from a study that was done by Accenture and Disability In, is that there's a 90% increase in employee retention when you focus on hiring individuals who are neurodivergent. And you ask, why is that? Well, I believe that it's not only because they're very, very dedicated and loyal employees, you're also impacting individuals in your organization who are neurodivergent but have been fearful of letting you know. When they see that you're supporting their community, their loyalty increases. You have caregivers, you have individuals, parents who have children who are neurodivergent. When they see that the company is supporting hiring neurodivergent employees, they become more loyal and hopeful. So compared to their peer group, those who hire people with disabilities have 28% higher revenues. They're 2 times higher net income, 30% higher profit margins, and they're 4 times as likely to have higher total shareholder returns. And guess what? They have access to a whole new pool of talent of 10.7 million people who are ready and willing to enter the job market. Research has shown that neurodiverse teams comprised of both neurotypicals and neurodivergent people are the key to business success. Again, research has shown 30% more productivity, 28% higher annual revenues, and 30% higher annual profits. And according to a workplace initiative in 2017, we know that companies who target this group and show patronage to the disability community, those individuals will spend more money with your company. They will utilize their discretionary income for your company. And this is my favorite statistic. The GDP could get a boost of up to 25 billion if just 1% more persons with disabilities join the US labor force. To me, that's incredible. So this is not just a social issue. This is not just a feel-good thing. This is an economic issue. Here's the report that Accenture and Disability In did. It's quite interesting. I encourage you to read it. And these are the companies who are getting it. These are the companies who are implementing programs specific to neurodiversity. And these programs are at different stages. And what I love about these companies is they are sharing lessons learned so that they can improve and help their other organizations who want to enter this. They're helping them improve as well. So I want to talk a little bit about our Zavikon supported placement grant, because this really is something that can help small businesses and larger businesses as well. So starting in January of this year, we started a grant with the California Department of Developmental Services, and it's to improve competitive integrated employment outcomes for individuals with disabilities and those who are neurodivergent, for individuals who are part of the California Regional Center system. Now, the regional centers in California, they're all throughout California. And what they do is they offer services to individuals who have a disability that was something that would have been diagnosed before the age of 18. So autism, for example. It subsidizes the majority of our Zavikon placement and support fees, because that's how we make our money. None of our candidates pay a penny to work with us. We work with the clients to pay our fees, but this will subsidize that. We are placing approximately 70 people in 18 months, and it goes until the end of June of next year. So this is really neat, and a lot of organizations don't realize that this exists. Through the regional center system here in California, they have a program where we can subsidize 1,040 hours of a person's wage, and that can spread over the course of 12 months. So if they work full-time, it's going to be give and take 6 months. And if they work part-time, it can go as long as 12 months. You are not the employer of record. There will be an independent company who will be the employer of record, and they will handle the workers' comp, the sick time, all of those things. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks for us to get this program in place. We take care of all of the paperwork, and I like to say the herding of the cats because it is quite a lot, but that's not your problem. You don't have to deal with it. All you do is sign a DocuSign saying, yep, we're the work site. And if the person does paper timesheets, you'll have to sign and approve those. Most people are using an app for that. This is an incredible program, and anybody can take advantage of it as long as the person that you're hiring is a California Regional Center client. They can work remote. So companies that are outside of California can certainly take advantage of this program. And if you're interested, please reach out to me. I'm happy to share with you the type of talent we have. What we ask from our program participants is that they invest time in training the individual and giving them attention to develop their skills. Because at the end of this, the goal is that you'll hire them. But if you can't hire them and you don't have budget for that, it's okay because they've been trained, they have the vocational skill, and they have it on their resume. I like to share some success stories, and it looks like I do have time to do this. So Joseph, he came to us right when we opened our doors, and he had over 100 failed interviews before we placed him. He had also passed 5 actuary exams on his own, which is pretty unheard of. That's amazing. And he's a brilliant mathematician. But his issue was auditory processing. So when you ask him a question, it can take him up to a minute of pure silence before he'll speak. Well, for an interviewer, you can imagine they're thinking, well, I need to rephrase the question, or maybe he doesn't know and I should ask another one. And the interviewers would be taken back. They would start talking, interrupt his train of thought, and the interviews did not go well. All it took for us was to speak with the interviewer and ask them just to ask the question and be quiet and give him a moment of thought. He interviewed brilliantly. He's with one of the top insurance companies in the country. He's making close to 6 figures now, and he will have a brilliant career and as an actuary. Kayla struggled to receive full-time hours as a systems testing consultant. We nearly tripled her salary. Kayla had issues not only with feeling that she wasn't worthy of meaningful employment because she was on the spectrum. She also was fearful of ageism. We've placed her. She's nearly, like I said, tripled her salary, and she has full benefits, and she's thriving. And same with Rohan, same types of challenges, completely underemployed, and we were able to double his salary. He has a master's degree in computer sciences. Yep. And then there's Jason. Jason is one of my favorite stories because I was working with him. I didn't know where we were going to go or what we were going to do. And one day he shared with me, I love swimming pool vacuums. I'm like, do tell me more. He loves this one company, swimming pool vacuums, and he knows every make and model, everything about it, every defect. So I reached out to that CEO of an international swimming pool vacuum company. And that CEO got back to me within 24 hours and said, let's see what we can do. He was hired. He started in July, and he's a quality technician for the pool vacuums for that company. He's living independently, and he's loving life. Jacob had not found employment for over a year. We placed him in a production finance role. This company was blown away by his skill and talent and his communication skills. They loved working with him. It was a production, so it ended, but they're looking for, now that the strike is ending, yay, that he'll be able to get onto another production. And Jordan was our first placement at the company. He lost his job after 30 years due to COVID. And so we placed him in the mortgage industry, and he did phenomenally well. But due to economic downturn, he did get laid off. We hired him, and Jordan now works for us. And I have to say, it's really hard to give him enough work because he's so fast, so accurate, and he's just a lovely person to work with. So some fun facts. A lot of people say, what is Zavikon? What does it mean? Well, Zavikon is a bridge to inclusion. This is Zavikon Island. We're at the house on it. And that is the shortest international bridge, because this house, where the house is in Canada. And that other little island that they use as their backyard is in New York. So we like to say we're the shortest bridge to inclusion. We're 100% woman-owned. We're a woman-owned small business, and we are a disability-owned business enterprise. There's my information and our website. And together we can change lives. And I encourage you, if you have any questions or you want to reach out to me to discuss this, please do. It is something we as a company are extremely passionate about. And I know that if we can get small, medium-sized, and large businesses engaged in this hiring, we will solve the unemployment, underemployment rate.